Hi, my name's Ray Shefsky, and I was in retail automotive for 43 years, and I'm going to share with you why you never want to tell the dealer that you're paying cash when you're buying your car.
Let's jump right into it, Pops. There are two parts to a car deal, the front end and the back end. And the reason you never want to tell the dealer, like yourself when you were in the business, that you're paying with cash, it takes away the largest profit center in most car deals. Can you explain to everyone, Dad, the difference between the front end and the back end? And we have some visual aids that we can reference as well to help with this. What's the front and what's the back?
Well, the front end is the profit on the vehicle that's being sold. There's a cost to that vehicle, and then the difference between the selling price and the cost of that vehicle is the profit. If it's a new vehicle, typically the profits are much lower on new vehicles, and with dealers being more motivated to work towards finding a deal, they are discounting vehicles more than they have in the past. So they're taking shorter profits on the front end, the difference between the cost and the selling price, hoping to make some of that money back in the back end. And the back end is the financing portion of the deal.
It's financing and those insurance products. So let's break down the back end because we've got a visual aid here. This is an example of a salesperson's deals that they made during the month of December in 2023. And you can see that on the front end, this salesperson made negative $13,887. We're going to explain how that can possibly make sense in just a moment. But look at the back end, finance and insurance, like you were just talking about. $31,000 in profit, gross profit made in the back end. When you tell the car dealer that you're paying cash, immediately their mind goes to the row on this spreadsheet that shows a zero on the back end side of things. Because when you're paying cash, there's no finance reserve. It becomes more difficult to sell ancillary products like warranties, gap insurance, tire and wheel, 3-in-1 protection. Because instead of paying a monthly payment, just $10 extra on your monthly payment, Mrs. Jones, it's paying cash for that, which is a harder sell. Dad, the moment you tell the dealer you're paying cash, they think, oh crap, I got to make all the gross profit on the front end, which means you're probably not going to get as good of a price. Is that a simplified explanation for why you don't say you're paying cash?
Keep it simple, stupid. You did it. It's very simple. Once you say you're paying cash, then they're not as predisposed to negotiate as deep a discount as they would have been if they were assuming that they had the opportunity to make the money back on the back end. I have been part of deals where we've lost $2,000-$3,000 on the front end, knowing that we had already set up a back end profit of $3,500, $4,000, $4,500 between finance reserve, extended warranty, dent and ding repair, tire and wheel coverage. So dealers oftentimes use that money that they can make in the back end to further discount the vehicle on the front end. They don't care where the profit comes from, just as long as the profit comes. And if you're taking away one of their profit centers, which is the potential for a large back end profit, well, then they're not as motivated to discount the vehicle up front. They've got to make some money somewhere.
Spot on. So let's talk about when you do bring up the fact that you're paying cash. And that would be after you've negotiated an out the door price. So Dad, if I'm a salesperson, I might be asking you, the customer, hey, Mrs. Smith, how do you think you're going to purchase this vehicle? Did you plan to finance it or lease it, or were you going to pay cash? What's the response as a customer to that?
I haven't decided exactly how I'm going to pay for it. It's something I would feel most comfortable discussing directly with the finance manager once we've figured out what our out the door price is. And then I can have that conversation with my finance person and we'll determine exactly how we're going to pay for it.
Well, you must have a monthly budget in mind, I mean, everyone's got a monthly budget, and it's just a repeat of what you just said, correct?
And I do have a monthly budget in mind. And the wonderful thing is, once we get to the out the door number that I'm looking for, I know that fits into my budget.
Exactly. So you break down the deal into, I'm going to negotiate the out the door price, and I'm never going to mention that I'm a cash buyer. Again, if I do, my leverage that I previously had, which was the potential that I was going to pay for all of the ancillary products on the back end or the finance reserve that the dealership makes when they have a spread between the buy rate and the sell rate of the financing of the money, that all goes away and I lose that leverage. There's no purpose. Would it be nice to tell your salesperson and the sales manager, hey, I'm a cash buyer. You guys, you're not going to make any money off me on the back end? I guess there's some pleasantries there, like you're being extra kind, but you're doing yourself a disservice. And so you bring it up with the finance manager after you've agreed to your numbers. Now, a lot of salesmen and saleswomen, Dad, are probably going to be in the comments here saying, you guys don't know what you're talking about. Customers should tell us they're paying cash so we can help them, make sure they know that they're getting into the right car, or they've got the right budget, things like that. But again, that is really just tactical so that they know, do I have a whale or do I not have a whale? And where am I going to make my money on my car deal?
Yeah, do I have a minnow or do I have a whale? And as a cash buyer, you pretty much represent a minnow. As a finance buyer, you represent the possibility of being a whale. And when you look at the sheet, you can see there were situations where the salesperson lost $2,389 on the front end of the deal, but they made $1,076 on the back end of the deal. So there was a way for them to make money. If you negotiated the same deal as a cash buyer, guess what happens when you go into the finance office and you listen to their pitch and then say, well, you know what? I think it's just easier if I write a check. Well, they can't mitigate that $2,389 loss with anything from the back end unless you see some value in some of the products that they're selling. Doesn't mean as a cash buyer that you couldn't buy some of those items. It just statistically, you're less likely to.
Dad, look at the fourth row down. $1,789 front end loss. $3,930 back end gross. That is the perfect example here of why car dealerships love when people finance their purchases through the dealership. That is the perfect example of this. And again, why you don't go in and say, all right, here's my checkbook, I'm paying cash. Because some people perceive that if I come in and I say, hey, I got the money, I can do it. That shows like they're in control, they have the power. No, what you're showing is we're not going to give you that $2,000 front end discount that we could have maybe afforded to do or been willing to do, even just to move the unit, because we thought maybe there were $4,000 we could make on the back end. That goes completely out the window. So this is a perfect visual aid and representation of why you don't say you're going to pay cash. When do you say you're going to pay cash? When you're in the finance office. And if you are going to finance, folks, please go watch some of our other videos. Buy rate, sell rate, getting a pre-approval, all sorts of things, getting quotes on extended warranties and gap insurance from your auto insurance. There's all sorts of things you can do to help protect yourself from being the whale, in this case, the $4,000 back end gross. You don't have to be that person if you're educated, informed, and you know what you're getting into.
And as a cash buyer, you tend typically not to be.
Look at that one row, Dad. It says zero. I mean, that is the cash buyer.
I like that.
That's the one cash buyer, and they got a great deal. They did awesome.
Yeah, no, I like that. They might have gotten a better deal had they not told them at some point that they were a cash buyer.